who else? Who can maybe provide a test? Who can maybe be a challenger and a contender elsewhere around the Eastern Conference?
Top two is going to be a runaway. But I guess if I had to choose, Ben, it's going to be the Knicks. At least they have the talent to somehow upset teams that are better than them, but they can't in the regular season. Maybe it changes in the playoffs.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith-Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread waters. I think that puts it in a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
They have already decided, it would appear to me, from what you're telling me, that they're satisfied with the quarterback room as it stands now.
Shedeur Sanders does not have the value to go at number 3. I know they need a quarterback. It's about this season with Russell Wilson, okay? No question he's going to be the starter. Winston will back him up. But the future they can get next year.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pits, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Twisted Tuesday has begun. The countdown to the National Football League draft is officially on and nearly complete. We're going to be breaking it down. Rick Saratella steps up and joins us on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. NHL playoff hockey, we've got it. NBA playoff basketball, we've got it. Major League Baseball action, we've got it all on the program this evening. It's an epic week. Listen, it's a great time of the year right now, but you can't beat the first rounds, right? Because this is like when, it's almost like opening day, the first 2 days of the NCAA tournament. As we go on, there's going to be less games. So this is as good as it gets right now. We've got a really late night start this evening in Sin City with the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. We'll get into that hockey game a little bit later on. Action going on right now as we speak. The Toronto Maple Leafs are up 2-1 right now, under 7 minutes remaining in the hockey game. The Toronto Maple Leafs have not been up 2-0 in a playoff series in 23 years. All right? They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. That's so long. I'm having a hard time adding up how many years it's been. But what is it? It's up to 58 now. It's getting there. Right? It's getting there. But hard to believe. You think about it. Like, okay, you haven't won, but like, really? Really? You haven't been up 2-0 in a playoff series in 23 years? Since 2002. They're up 2-1 right now, and they won game 1. So they're close to accomplishing, step by step, right? It's like one step at a time. You need 16 wins to win the Stanley Cup. Right, you want to minimize the amount of games that you're playing, but just, whether you get the win, whether it's 1-0 or whether it's 6-5 or what a wild game that was last night as we were on the air. So a lot of hockey talk on the program tonight. Andrew McKinnis will step up and in. The Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart's in the house. Mo Khan throws it down with us, Rick Saratella. So we've got a lot of NHL talk, a lot of NFL draft talk tonight, and of course, NBA basketball as the Minnesota Timberwolves took game 1 against the Los Angeles Lakers. So once again, the Pacers get it done this evening. Pascal Siakam, clutch. tonight. Big time shots for Pascal Siakam. 123 to 115 was the final score. They covered the 4.5, and the game went over the number. And Ja Morant said, well, we can't play any worse than we did in game one. I guess he's kind of right. I don't know. It's a start. You didn't lose by 50 plus. Tonight you lost by 19. This Oklahoma City team, they just drill like Memphis. They're just murdering them, right? They covered the spread. They were 14.5-point favorites tonight. I didn't want any part of it. I'm done with Memphis. I didn't want to lay the points. We did cash with the Pacers tonight. We laid 4. I don't like to lay 4 normally, but we laid the 4 with the Pacers. We hit the over of the basketball game, which leads us into tonight's contest between the Timberwolves and the Lakers. The Lakers, breaking news. You know what? Now that it's the playoffs, actually, we're going to have to get this. We're going to have to get a little bit like a breaking news sounder. Dun-dun-dun, some sort of, news sounding, for breaking news, because there's going to be a lot of breaking news and a lot of goals. The Ottawa Senators have just scored. The Ottawa Senators, like I said, the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't been up 2-0 since 2002. It's amazing. They're so close. A deflected puck. Stolars really couldn't do anything about it. It was shot from the point, and nice deflection. I don't know who it was on the Senators. Seriously nice deflection. Big time goal for the Ottawa Senators. The Senators bench is going crazy right now. So we got a 2-2 hockey game with 5 minutes and 13 seconds left. And Toronto Maple Leaf fans are looking pretty stressed out right now. Or, there's a look of disgust on a couple of dudes' faces right now as they show the fans, but I think they're realizing, son of a bitch, they already stopped selling drinks here, and they got overtime coming up. That's the worst. That's the worst. They got to do something about that. There's nothing worse. You go to a game and it goes to overtime and they shut things down. Now, the arena, it's up to them. They can keep it going. But I know a lot of arenas just sort of figure out, you know what, people are going to get too lit, so we're not going to keep selling all night. I know last year in Vancouver, I was at a couple overtime games, and they said that they used to not stay open, but now that they do. But the Vancouver Canuck owner really does like to make money, so it's not surprising. So we got the T-Wolves and the Lakers tonight. They just tipped off right now. The spread was 4.5 in game one. It's 5.5 right now. Still, it's 2-2. They just tipped off. It's 5.5 right now. I'm taking the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. There's just sort of an assumption that the Lakers need this game. Yeah, everybody needs something. It doesn't mean you're going to get it. How many times you needed something in your life? You didn't get it, did you? Just because you need something doesn't mean it's going to happen. The Minnesota Timberwolves are good, right? The T-Wolves are built for the playoffs. The T-Wolves have playoff experience. The T-Wolves have all-stars. They got veterans. The T-Wolves aren't like one of these young upstart teams, right? They've got dudes that have been in the league for a while. They're not intimidated by the Los Angeles Lakers. We thought this was a dangerous series for the Lakers coming into it, and I think it's a dangerous game for them tonight, right? The Lakers are good, but the Lakers have flaws and can be exposed. Luka dropped 37 the other night. They're going to have to get production from other players this evening. So we took the T-Wolves plus the 5.5 points, and I got the over 211. Kind of a light number here. The T-Wolves are a very good defensive team. Lakers got to, 96? Figure the Lakers are going to crack 100 tonight, and I figure the T-Wolves will get into, 109, 104 type of game. I think it just sort of creeps over the number. It's a little bit of a slower start. In-game total is currently 208.5 right now. So last night, 2 to 4 games went to overtime. And I used to play that. I used to play every NHL playoff game in the first round to go to overtime. And one year we murdered it. They were seriously, I remember out of the first 24 games a couple of years, but it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Out of the first 24 playoff games, it was wow, 10 of them have gone to overtime. You're getting plus 280s, plus 320s. You're getting these big prices. We didn't have any overtimes. Last night we had 2 of the 4. Is this game going to go to overtime? I thought the Kings game was going to go to overtime last night, but the Kings scored with 41 seconds left. There's still under 4 minutes remaining. There's 3:45 to be exact in the Toronto and Ottawa game right now. But the Senators are causing the least problems right now. This is a big-time game, too. the series could swing quickly. Like Toronto, right? Toronto win a couple of games, and people are going to think they're going to win the Stanley Cup. They lose tonight, and then it's already, they can't win back-to-back games in the playoffs. If you're the Leafs, you want to break this narrative. You haven't had a 2-0 series lead since 2002. All right, so we got a 2-2 game with 3.5 left there. The Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's easy to forget about them because we've been playing. Other teams have already played 2 games before these guys have even started. Oh, the Toronto Maple Leafs just came really close to scoring with 3 minutes left, but they didn't. Man, we're taking it on the chin in this one, I got to tell you, as the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning were midway through the second period of play, and the Florida Panthers are just absolutely destroying the Tampa Bay Lightning. 5-1 right now. You can get the Tampa Bay Lightning plus 3.5 goals, plus 160, which I actually don't think is crazy. Teams don't quit in the playoffs. This isn't the NBA in the NHL. You saw this last night with the freaking Edmonton Oilers, right? They scored 4 goals in the third period. Teams will not quit in the NHL playoffs. So getting 3.5 plus 160, if I wasn't already on the Tampa Bay Lightning, I would probably suggest it. But I am on the Tampa Bay Lightning. All right, we'll get into the Minnesota Wild, the Las Vegas Golden Knights. We'll track what's going on in Los Angeles with the T-Wolves and the Lakers. Get you caught today with the Major League Baseball board. There's a lot of games going on, a lot of runs being scored. This is SportsRage.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Ty Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweights.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll the Twisted Tuesday. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pits, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, everybody else in between. Deuces are wild right now in the 6 in Toronto. Ottawa 2, Toronto 2. 2 minutes remaining in the hockey game right now. The Ottawa Senators have just recently tied the game. The Toronto Maple Leafs have not had a 2-0 series lead in a playoff series in 23 years, since 2002. And they were close to accomplishing that. Now, they can still win this hockey game, We'll see if they can steal a late goal like the LA Kings did last night after the late collapse. And the Kings ended up winning the game. But this is a massive turning point and swing here in this series. If Ottawa's able to steal this game and then go back to the Canadian capital tied at 1, we could be looking at a 2-2. Oh, my goodness. The Ottawa Senators nearly just scored, but they got the puck out of the zone. The Senators have been a better team here in the third period of play. They've been really taking it to the Leafs over the last 10 minutes or so. The Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart steps up and in. Where's your Leaf jersey tonight, Cam? What's going on? Where's the jersey?
I had it on, then Ottawa scored, so I took it off. But anyway, last time I did the show with Dubsy, and I wore my powder blue shirt, but it's in the wash because I only have 3 shirts, Gabe, as you know, when I do these shows. But you're right. Like
now it's the playoffs. You should get yourself a Toronto Maple Leaf golf shirt. I expect the Leafs to go on a nice run. Get yourself two Leafs. Get a white one and a blue one.
At the break, I'll surprise you. Just don't tell me what's happening in this game. Please, I beg of you. You're 5 seconds ahead of me. Don't say Ottawa scored or something. Please, can you just do
Ottawa
that?
Nearly just scored. Stolarz made a nice save.
I know. Stolarz is on fire. He's the only reason they're in the. This is what people don't understand. The Leafs, if Ottawa ties this thing up, it's like literally you go from high to low and all the pressure's on these guys anyway. And then you go back to Ottawa, as you mentioned, Gabe. And Ottawa really, since that first period, like they've been blasted in both games in the first period. But now they look like a team that's very comfortable playing the Leafs. And Stolarz has been great. But you got to finish the job, Toronto. We've seen this movie before. I'm on the under 6.5, which is sweet. But
one of the reasons why I'll be on, dear God, Ottawa really is pressing. One of the reasons why I'll be on the Minnesota Wild tonight, plus a puck and a half. We see in game 2s, after teams lose the game 1, it's not automatic they're going to win. Dear God, this is getting crazy in the last 40 seconds of this hockey game. But, we saw Dallas was much better. We're seeing Ottawa was much better. The New Jersey Devils gave the Canes all that they can handle tonight. And, I think Minnesota will be in a similar situation. I can see Vegas winning by a goal tonight. I did not get burnt by what happened the other night with the goal and a half. So hopefully it doesn't happen to me tonight. But let's bring in Andrew McKinnis right now, who I'm surprised is wearing Leaf blue. McKinnis, well, you've converted to a Leaf fan. I know you haven't converted to a Leaf fan because when the Leafs were up 2-0, you're like, what? Everybody's got them going to the Stanley Cup now because they're up 2-0.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
He was chirping the Leafs.
Everybody is. I called out Wetzel for you tonight on the show, too. I said, don't use the G word and whatever, and everybody in Toronto. I'm realistic. No, I don't say this guy. There's a lot of great teams in the National Hockey League. You can make a case.
Did you tell him I'm not a Leaf fan?
Yes, I did. Actually, that's the first thing I said. I go, by the way, Gabe's not a Leaf fan. He's like, what? I thought you guys. I go, what? Just because we live in Canada, you think everyone's a Leaf fan? No, we have different provinces there, Scott. But anyway, I don't want to get into this right now. I'm a little bit steaming after they blew that 2-goal lead, and it is what it is. I got to give Stolarz and you know what? Allmark's made some huge saves too. Overtime, just the way we want.
Look, boys, I feel like I'm watching soccer right now. They're parking the bus like it's a Euro Cup 2025 right now. What's going on? You park the bus for 55 minutes, you get burned. This is what happens. The Berube brand of hockey, you get across the red line, dump the puck in, it burns you.
Playing
you
good.
sit back, protect the lead,
you
get burned.
McKinnis' mic, please.
No, I agree with McKinnis. The Leafs have they should have been trying to score more. You're right. They were acting like they were up 4-1 or something, McKinnis.
13 shots, start of the third period. Protecting but you know what? Cam, no, before Cam gets too upset with me, I actually think that before they got scored on, I respected it. Because you know what? In all honesty, guys, that's what they've needed for years. They used to play like they weren't ahead. And this year they protected the lead. Yeah, sure, they got scored on. The end of the day, though, that's what playoff hockey is, right? You can't get a lead and then keep playing the regular way. Obviously, I'm coming in with some jokes, but the end of the day is you need to be able to protect the lead when you have it. And that's what they were doing for about, 50 minutes.
Yeah, but it's sort of like a team I hate watching in the NBA when you see teams. The offense is flowing, and there's 28 seconds left in the quarter or the half. And they're like, let's slow it down so, we don't give the team the other shot. They never get a good shot after. Right? You never get a good shot, right? It's sort of like, listen, Yeah, you know what I mean? But I agree with you, McKinnis, but I believe that with the dreaded 2-goal lead. That's where I'm like, all right, let's sort of lock things up now. We're up by 2, but we see, listen, no lead is safe in the National Hockey League. We saw it last night with the Edmonton Oilers, but who are you on in this game, McKinnis? Because I am on the Toronto Maple Leafs to beat the Ottawa Senators tonight as we go to overtime. Who you got in this game?
I have absolutely nothing. I just cashed my biggest bet of the night on the over 5.5 in the Panthers Lightning game. I lost on Carolina team total earlier, and I got Minnesota over half a goal in the first period in the late night game. And the funny thing is, guys, you guys know where I am and out, Halifax, far east coast of Canada. I couldn't find the game trying to bet the Vegas game. Turns out they had that listed as a Wednesday game. So I was trying to find it. It doesn't start until Wednesday where I live. I couldn't find the game. It gets started after midnight. So no action for me on the Leafs game, but I'm going to try and stay up for the Vegas game.
Wow. McKinnis lives in a very strange time zone. We'll hit this on the other side. An advanced time zone.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. All right, so we're going to overtime in Toronto. I got to find out, actually, if they continue to serve beer in Toronto when they go to overtime. My guess is no. Right, Toronto, my guess is no. Some arenas do, and some arenas don't. Like in the old days, they didn't, but in the modern era, like I said, it's up to the arena. But If somebody actually, I'll find out on Twitter. I'll know somebody that follows me is definitely at this game right now.
Here's my point, though. You go to a bar to watch the game, it's 2 a.m. It's 10:24 Eastern right now, and I can't get a cold one? I don't care if it's a playoff game or not. Legally, you should be able to serve people whatever. You can do whatever you want, like whatever.
Yeah, but they don't.
Man, right?
They don't. Doesn't go by the time.
Well, why
like
doesn't
it's not
it?
last call.
Well, what? So they're assuming that everybody's a piss tank at the game and is drinking 30 beers? Some people don't even drink. They should have people that drink.
They stop, and each league has its own.
Oh, I know.
Like the arena for the league has a policy, and it's different, for different sports and stuff, obviously. But as somebody that goes to a lot of sporting events and drinks a lot at these sporting events, I'm always aware of this, and it's the first thing I do, McInnes. The first drink I get, I always ask, when do you stop serving? I always ask, when do you stop serving? And they're like, oh, around. I'm like, no. Get someone that knows the exact time. And I always get someone over, and they'll be like,
you're like, that's a problem.
Yeah, no. I'm a professional. I'm aware. I'm just on top of things. So it's 10 minutes left in the third period for a hockey game. Right, so 10 minutes in the third period.
For OT, probably. They have to reopen,
no.
right? Wouldn't you say?
No, because they don't want people. They've already closed. They got to pay people overtime to stay. And they also don't want people getting super wasted and driving home drunk and killing someone and saying, oh, the game went to overtime and I drank 22 drinks because they kept serving me all night, right? So, like I said, Montreal, I remember the old days, Montreal was crazy. Now you can only buy 2 drinks at a time at a sporting event now. And it's very frustrating. I remember I went to a Raider game and Charger game in San Diego. They would only serve 1 drink at a time. And you have to wait in line forever to get 1 freaking drink. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And they told me, normally you can buy 2, sir, but when the Raiders play here, we only serve 1 drink at a time because we got to slow down the violence. Right? So the UFC did that in Vancouver once years ago. You can only buy 1 drink at a time, and it was super annoying. I had multiple drinks in my back pocket, and I'd go to multiple lines, and at the same time, you try to add them up. But a lot of places don't. I know. I've been stuck in buildings, and it goes to overtime. It's the worst. Like I said, it's the worst feeling. You're sitting there, especially you've been drinking all night, and you're like, man, I don't want to leave because this game is in overtime, but you got to sit there, and it starts to kick in. Right, so you got to plan ahead. So somebody in Toronto, let me know. So McInnes, what's your pick? What's going to happen in overtime here? The Senators or the Leafs? Who's going to win the game? Who's going to score?
I'll tell you what. If the game, I'm going to give a political answer here. If the game ends in the first few minutes of OT,
what are you running for prime minister next week? A political answer. I asked you for a pick.
I think it's probably going to be similar to what we saw happen last night. But at the end of the day, it's also the Leafs, and usually what we've seen in past history is once the mental breaks down, usually we don't see them recover. So it's tough to say. Again, I don't know. I get this feeling if it's an early goal, it's the Senators. If it's 10, 15 minutes into the overtime, then it's the Leafs. That's how I feel. If they can survive the momentum that the Ottawa Senators currently have, then I think the Leafs will get the job done. But if you tell me a goal happens in the first 10, which I think could happen, then I think it's the Ottawa Senators.
I'll be less political and get to the point. Give me Mitch Marner to score in the first 3 minutes of overtime. I'm looking right now. I can't bet on who's going to score. They don't have. It's too bad. They should, but they don't have the players up right now. But I will say that I'm going to say that Mitch Marner comes through with a big goal for the Leafs tonight. So 2-2. We're going to OT. It should be noted that the Lightning just scored. So we were talking about them at +3.5 before. They've cut the lead to 5-2 after 2 periods of play. In-game total is currently 9.5. On the other side, we'll get into the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. It starts at 11 o'clock Eastern time, midnight for McInnes in the Atlantic, ahead of the rest of the world.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and you know, launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The pits, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, everybody else in between. 5-1 for the Houston Astros right now. We've always said when there's 2 teams from Toronto playing on the same night, they both can't win. So this might be a good sign for the Toronto Maple Leafs, actually, because the Blue Jays are about to lose again. I took the Blue Jays tonight, and I took the under. So I'll get the split. And at this, if I get the split, fine, take the split, and we'll move on. It was 8 tonight. Josh Hader's on the hill here tonight. I believe I saw earlier today that Josh Hader is going to be participating in the World Baseball Classic next year for Team Israel. So Hader's on the hill. The WBC is going to be lit. Aaron Judge is in. This will be the best WBC yet. I think that Four Nations sort of inspired a lot of people for international tournaments, which is cool. So Andrew McKinnis in the house with us. The Ranger Red Cam Stewart's all stressed out about the Toronto Maple Leafs, tied at 2 right now. Listen, I've got the Leafs to win the cup. I put quite a bit on. I'm all in on the Leafs. I got them tonight too, but I feel good about this team. Ottawa had to show up tonight. They played horrible in game 1, so I'm not surprised that this is close right now. McKinnis, I'll throw it to you. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild, game 2 tonight. Vegas scored the late goal to cover on the puck line the other night. What are your thoughts on the Minnesota Wild and Las Vegas night game this evening? We'll get people the updated number right now for this game. Just for the record, wild one going on at Wrigley. Dear God, it's 10-9 for the Los Angeles Dodgers right now, but there's 2 out. So the Dodgers are 1 out away from winning the baseball game. NHL hockey, late start tonight, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. Minnesota Wild, plus 195 on the money line. Over-unders 5.5. Minnesota Wild, plus a puck and a half is minus 135 right now. Vegas Golden Knights, minus a puck and a half is plus 115. For the record, I took the Minnesota Wild, plus a puck and a half tonight. It wouldn't surprise me if Vegas won by 1 goal this evening. What's your pick, McKinnis, for the game tonight?
I think whenever the Minnesota Wild have bounced back, it's always been in defensive fashion. And I think you see a small trend right now, very, very small micro scale here, We've seen game twos be a hell of a lot more low scoring. I wouldn't be shocked to see that with Tampa Bay and Florida as well. These guys are juiced up. They're excited. They're normal athletes. They want to go out there and play game two. Okay, it's the playoffs. We got to settle in here. That benefits Minnesota, I do think. But I also like the over 26.5 saves. Philip Gustafson, he's going to have to be the guy if they want to keep this close. Minnesota Wild, first period, two-way line, plus 150. Minnesota Wild, three-way line, plus a half, minus 166. And I'm also going to take them to score one goal at least in the first period, over a half goal first period, minus 115. The game will be decided in the first period. We'll learn a lot about the Wild early on in the first 20.
Yeah, it wouldn't be shocking if the Wild scored an early goal in this game. Cam, what's your pick for this game tonight?
I love where you guys are going. I'm with you. I think Minnesota in the first period's the play, too. You take plus a half goal. I think they're going to score a goal, and they showed resilience in their 3-2 game. Let's remember Vegas won with an empty netter with half a second left, too. Minnesota didn't quit. They had a lot of good young guys on their team. They actually took the play to Vegas for many, many points in that game, too. I don't think it's going to be such a joke. I'm with you, though, Gabe. I kind of agree. Like, if it goes like a one-goal game, Vegas might win in overtime, but I'm actually going to sprinkle on the money line as well. But I'll take Minnesota plus 1.5, and I love McInnes's first period look, plus a half puck, and I'll take them on the money line, plus 160.
I'm just going to take the Wild plus 1.5. It's a minus 135 right now. I'm intrigued by your Gustafson prop, actually. I like Gustafson as a goalie, and Vegas do throw a lot of pucks at the net. Looking at game one, McInnes, did you play it in game one? Because it was exactly 26, but he gave up 3 goals. So he only ended up with 23 saves when it was all said and done. What's the bet tonight? Over 26.5 saves?
Over 26.5 game. I didn't play it in game one, but one thing I've realized is I hate to say it. You guys know I watch a lot of games. I'm a hockey guy, but I look at those numbers, right? I do look at the analytics. And the funny thing is that the team that had the most shots doesn't always mean that they had the most dangerous chances. And so if Minnesota plays well defensively, you know what that means they did? They kept Vegas to the outside. You keep a team to the outside, it means a lot of weak saucer shots going towards the net. You see it a lot in the playoffs. Like, the team that doesn't have the most shots doesn't always lose the game. They're the team that protected the lead, or they just got good chances and scored on those. So I think if Vegas is floating a lot of pucks from the point, then we can see Gustafson rack up some saves.
I agree with you. I think last night the Montreal Canadiens, see, we took a while to even get to the Canadiens, but I agree with you. I think last night the Canadiens are a good example of that, right? Like, the shots on goal didn't really tell the real story about how the Canadiens look like the better team, right? For most of the second period and the third period, and even that first period, they didn't play well, and they gave up that late goal with a minute left. Not to mention they got punched in the face, they got cross-checked, and everything else in between. But they settled down. So overtime has begun in Toronto. Speaking of which, the Ottawa Senators have outshot the Toronto Maple Leafs 28-19 tonight. That's why I was talking. I don't like to get too complacent just because you have a one-goal lead. 28-19, so we're into OT right now. I always believe, guys, in these OT periods, if you get through the first few minutes of the fast ice, then it could get prolonged, right? But for the most part, you see goals are scored pretty quickly in overtimes, right? The fast ice is an issue, right? The puck just, and especially for a home team, they know the boards, they know, right, how to play it. And you'll often see goals, guys, in the first minute of periods, in the playoffs, because you get that fast ice, teams are on a power play or whatnot. You get into overtime and you get that fast ice, but after a few minutes, it slows down. That's why, when I was a goalie, I used to shovel all the snow and I'd sprinkle it all around the front of the net everywhere just to slow everything down. And the ref would always come back, stop throwing the snow outside the crease. They'd put it back on the side of the net with a shovel, and I'd always just kick it back out.
That's a brilliant move. You can't make too big of a pile or the ref will see it, but a little bit of a dusting, right? So the puck just can't get there. It's actually a very smart move. And I'm going to say this, guys. Have you noticed, all these playoff games, how late these goals have been? Last night we were talking 4 seconds left, 1 second left. Edmonton came back late. Then LA scores. There's been a lot of crazy swings in the last minute of games. That's when mentally you have to really step up, because things are going to happen in the first minute of games, in the second, and at the end of games. It's been absolutely wild this year. Hey, the Leafs, they won. Yeah, they won. Yeah, no. Oh my
3-2.
God!
I said quickly. Fast ice. There it is.
Thank you,
Max told me.
I needed that. Thank you. Man.
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sorry, McKinnis. If they go down 1-1, go to Ottawa, you know these jokers here. Oh, man, the Leafs again.
McKinnis doesn't look too happy about this. What's your problem, McKinnis?
I thought he said, aren't you our friend? Aren't you my friend, McKinnis? Gabe's even on the Leafs tonight. Come on, help us out here. A little love?
3-2 final score. 3-2 final score. So, Cam, you should almost just be cheering for the Capitals, just out of spite for McKinnis. No love for the Leafs.
Actually, I have a lot of respect. I'm different. I have a lot of respect for the Montreal Canadiens, and I thought they got jobbed in that game. To your point, Gabe, I thought Washington got away with a lot of slew foots, dirty plays, and the refs they weren't that sharp. But that's Montreal. They're not a huge team, but they're a fast team. And if they're not going to call it, that's a big-time advantage Washington. If they play it tight, advantage Canadians with their speed.
So coming into tonight, guys, I looked and they take it down when these games are being played. They'll put it back up overnight or in the morning or whatnot. The exact Stanley Cup Finals and a lot of the futures and stuff. What was your pick, McKinnis? Because my pick coming into tonight was 35-1, but now that the Leafs won, it's going to come down again. I've got the Winnipeg Jets playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll get McKinnis's updated Stanley Cup predictions on the other side. I got the Leafs to win the Cup in a bet. I got the Leafs parlayed with the LA Clippers at 311-1. I'm going to win $31,000 if the Clippers and Leafs both win.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Andrew McKinnis was taking some shots at Doc Rivers during the commercial break. I'm going to put his name on it. And listen, Doc Rivers becomes sort of the punchline. He's going to get blamed for everything. I don't know why he takes these jobs, to be honest, because you can't win, right? He coaches a lot of teams you can't win with, right? You're not winning with Joel Embiid. And Greg Frank knows this, right? Like, Oh, you remember? And Greg doesn't have a mic. But look, remember, Greg, you're a Sixer fan. Were you part of the Brett Brown's a terrible coach, can't coach at all. He's the reason we don't win.
I like Brett Brown.
Did you? Yeah. So you were smart, actually. But remember, though, I'm not crazy, right? Everybody hated him. Hated him. Oh, you need a real coach. You need a real coach.
Yeah,
we got Nick Nurse now, too. We got Nick Nurse. Yeah, so what about Nick Nurse now, McInnes? Is he winning with Philadelphia? They got the same, exactly. They were stacked. They got all these stars, right?
Look,
players are the problem.
And I think what the Milwaukee Bucks is, the Milwaukee Bucks are winning, bro. Like, they're a very flawed roster.
No, but you know what the Doc Rivers joke is? It's not like the Doc Rivers joke is he gets these garbage teams that don't make the playoffs. The joke is, Gabe, he gets 3-1 leads with those teams in the play. I'm not saying, the guy has to play the number 1 seed as the 8th seed every year and he loses. He's had multiple 3-1 blown series leads in the NBA. In the NBA.
No, McInnes, the guy was playing in the NBA before you were born. The guy has been coaching in the NBA when you were in grade school. The guy has coached in a million different playoff series. So, yeah, he's going to lose. He's also won a championship, right? You know what I'm saying? So, Scotty Bowman. Every time Scotty Bowman blown a 3-1 series lead, I bet you a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to get in. Listen, I'm not telling you Doc Rivers is the coach of the year. He's a good coach. His time has passed, though. He's like who's a good NHL? Like, I don't know. He's like not Paul Maurice. You know what I mean? He's like a gate. He's like a gatekeeper.
No, Tortorella won actually.
Tortorella.
No, but Tortorella's insane though. Doc Rivers. The criticism of Doc Rivers is he's too nice.
The point is, the joke is out there, right? It's not like the joke.
It's true, Cam. You're not like Tortorella.
No. Torts is nuts. You're right.
Bobby Knight was like Tortorella. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's differences. Like, yeah.
But there's a reason the joke's out there.
Like, what's a fair example of a guy that middles all the time? Peter Laviolette. That's the answer.
Laviolette. That's a good one.
No.
Doc
Rivers is better than Laviolette.
Okay, then who? Like, who then? Like, that's the guy. He wins, he loses, he's there. Like, that's the guy.
Laviolette is one. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll give him the cup. All right. Anyways, my point is, look, put it this way. They fired Mike Budenholzer, right, in Milwaukee. What changes, right?
Nothing.
You know what I mean? Coaches, it's all about the roster. It's not the coach, right? And Milwaukee are kind of screwed. That's the whole thing. I guess Doc Rivers makes a lot of money to be the fall guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, I'm making $8 million a year, $10 million. I don't know how much he makes. I can look it up here. I'm sure he's not getting paid he's getting paid real money because the guy was making like $4 or $5 million just to be on TV. So my whole point is, I guess he figures, you know what, I'll get paid, rack up the money, and I don't care if people, I don't care if handicappers from Wager Talk want to talk about me.
Well, I think you're acting like he has the most garbage teams. He's coaching the good old Washington Wizards. Like, you're acting like he's not coaching teams that were up 3-1 in a series. Like, I'm sorry, if your team is up 3-1 in the series, it is on the coach. It's not on the players.
So does Steve Kerr
3-1 in a series? Then it is. But you're going to tell me anybody I think in the world that's ever coached would agree if your team is in a position that's up 3-1, the coach lost the series. You can't say the players.
So if Paul Maurice didn't win the cup last year, would he have been a loser after blowing the series?
It would have been on the coach. Yes, coaching. That would have been a coach's loss.
But players can still crap the bed for those games too. It's a combination of it. It can't just be the coach. Players can just start gagging. It happens. We're one away,
dude. And there's not a league out there that the coach has less impact, other than baseball, than the NBA.
Right.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you do if you're the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, McInnes? All right, Giannis. You know what I mean? Everything runs through Giannis, so there's point blank. But you know, the Milwaukee Bucks, all kidding aside, and I called this, it's crazy. The Bucks won the championship because they had guys like Drew Holiday. They had role players. They had guys that would die for loose balls. And, right, it was like, Giannis, you're the star, but we got a bunch of role players around you. And it evolved. Giannis became that guy. Oh, you got to sign stars. Like, all right, you got rid of everybody. You brought in Dame Lillard. Like, what does that do for us? So Dame Lillard's going to hit a bunch of threes, not going to guard anybody, and we're going to score a bunch of points, and we're going to give up even more points. And then Drew Holiday goes to Boston, and I maintain it wouldn't have won without Drew Holiday. So if Doc Rivers is out there, you should send me some playoff tickets, Doc, courtside, because I just offended you. Let's get back to the hockey.
Doc Rivers apologist. That's the whole thing. The whole point is all these idiots come up and go, "Oh, I want another star." There's only one damn ball. And to Morency's point, that's the whole key. The role players are just as important as the star. You surround them, and then it's perfect. That's the whole thing. They always try to get these super teams. They don't work. They don't work.
Well, all the teams, if you look at the modern NBA, most of the teams that won, the Golden State Warriors are the fine balance of that, where they have star players, but they really play as a team, right? They have a style, they play a system, they pass the ball around, but you look at the Toronto Raptors won. Yeah, they had Kawhi, but they were very deep. Like you had Siakam scoring 23 a night. You had Marc Gasol playing like brutal, vicious defense in the paint. You had Serge Ibaka. You had these two big dudes that were mean. That was like 12 fouls to give to beat up on Giannis. That's why they beat him. Kawhi was good, but the reason they beat them was because they were so deep. The Denver Nuggets, you know what I mean? Yeah, you have Jokic, but it was a real team type of right? And like you said, guys, the star stuff doesn't work, man. Look at the Phoenix Suns. And they keep digging. Maybe if we bring Kevin Durant in on top of this with Bradley Beal and on this, it's like, no, you already have too much of that, right? You see it in different sports, like bad chemistry. All right, so on the other side, we'll get McInnes. He can tell us why he likes the Canadians tomorrow against the Capitals.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
We love having McInnes on. He's not afraid to put the boxing gloves on and step up and spar. I get it, though. Like, as far as coach, it's an interesting conversation as far as coaches are concerned. Really? You know what, though?
We've been a lot angrier on Tuesdays. I don't know what it is about Tuesdays, but maybe it's McInnes. You're right. Like, I find like we're always.
I want to get. I want to get Doc Rivers' ATS career record up. That's all that matters. That's all that matters, McKinnis. We'll look up. We'll see. All right, is he covered? All right, quickly with this, a great example, and you're a Green Bay Packer fan. Mike McCarthy, good coach or not, McKinnis?
Not a good coach.
See, I would disagree. The guys won a Super Bowl, and the Dallas Cowboys suck, all right? Like, they don't have a great roster, and he was in a tough spot. And when Dak Prescott, so Dak was hurt this past year, so throw that out. Mike McCarthy had the best record against the spread in the National Football League when he was the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But the Cowboys consistently covered 11, 12, 13 games a year. So, you know what I mean?
So what?
Like,
I guess my question back to you: what has he been doing the past few years that another coach wouldn't come in and do equally or not better?
Because McCarthy there's a ceiling. I think why he covered so much in the regular season. He plays it so conservative, right? He's just so by the book all the time. The Cowboys don't make a lot of mistakes. Like when Dak Prescott plays, he doesn't turn the ball over a lot and stuff. So it'll work in a regular season, but then in the playoffs, like he's blown leads, right? I can't dispute it. He's got some weird things that have happened to him in the last 2 minutes of football games. But I'll tell you what, I love Sean McVay. Dude, Sean McVay has done some really stupid things in NFL playoff games before.
Yeah.
Like just even last year, you wonder, it's like, dude, do you even care today? Like what? Like you're all over the place.
I would like to
let's
bring
go
up
for it on
example.
4th and 13. You know what I mean? It's like, no, right? And then he's on the 3. Let's kick a field goal. It's like, dude, it's like, Sean, what are you doing? Who are you? Like, I used to be this young, aggressive dude. Now you're all over the place looking at your chart, looking up. I love Sean McVay, but at times I'm like, what the F is he doing? Right? But anyway, sorry, Cam. We got to get to his picks. We only got 4 minutes on the
Just
kids.
be real quick. I remember the Super Bowl, me, you, and Corey, Sean McVay. The guy was worshiping Bill Belichick all week. Focus on the damn Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying, Cam. He got his ass handed to him by Belichick. He never adjusted for the defense at all. And he even said after, I got caught off guard. Is he a bad coach? So anyways, Canadians and Capitals tomorrow, McKinnis.
Unbelievable. Give me the Canadians over team total 2.5. That's the play it safe pick right there, right? Give me the money line on the Montreal Canadiens
to score 3 goals. Yeah, I like it.
The over on saves, whatever the number is, on Samuel Montembeault. I honestly haven't checked it, but I think we're going to have to see a huge game out of him as well. The thing is, guys, I hate to say this because this guy has been bothering me big time lately for the Montreal Canadiens, but this one guy's going to have to be huge, and we're going to take his shots on goal prop tomorrow over 2.5. Patrick Laine. It can't be just one line. It can't be just Caulfield. It can't be just Suzuki. We got to see that second line. The second line was not good in game 1, but you can't just not play them. You got to go back to them. You got to get Demidov on the ice. You got to get Newhook on the ice, and you got to get Laine on the ice. I like that quite a bit. I like that combo together, and hopefully they can get the job done. So my player prop for you will be Laine shots on goal. We're going to take the first period with the Canadiens, and we're going to take that team total over 2.5.
One thing with Laine I noticed, he misses the net a lot because he tees it up so hard, right? So if you bet, though, I know I bet shots on goal with him a couple of times, and he tees it up he does that Stamkos thing from the circle, the one-timer, and he misses the net all the time with it. It's like, dude, take a little off of it and hit the freaking net.
It's a laser.
All right, quickly, McKinnis. Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche tomorrow. The Stars got back in the series. Now they go on the road. Quick turnaround in the Mile High City. Avs are big favorites, -180. And epic finish last night to that Kings and Oilers game. Game 2, back at the Crypt. The Kings are -135. Quickly, we got about a minute and a half. What do you like tomorrow, McKinnis?
I'll tell you what, boys. I regret not going on Dallas yesterday. I know they had to battle for that victory. I did have the first period over, which cash, but I've already locked in -115 Colorado to get to 4. People keep forgetting Colorado were on the road. They were close to going up 2-0. Now they're going back home with the split, right? They stole it a little bit. They're going to get over 3.5 team total. Big line with the second line. I think Val Nichushkin to get a point's a good one. Jonathan Drouin to get a point. We're going to take a look at the LA Kings first period money line. Sometimes when a team almost blows a lead, it helps them stay focused for the next game. LA in the first period, guys.
Andrew McKinnis, great stuff. WagerTalk.com.
Thanks, guys.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The countdown to the draft is nearly complete. We're less than 48 hours away. Let's do this thing. We bring in Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible, All Access Football.com. Rick, it's hard to believe that we're less than 48 hours away. I've started to click. I've got a bunch of bets in right now. I look forward to your last-minute opinions and takes on a very polarizing National Football League draft. Saratella, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, Gabriel Morency. Just happy to be here. 52 weeks of talking NFL draft with you. Big shout out to all the affiliates, the listeners. It is draft week. Let's roll.
All right, so listen, last week, Rick, we were talking about how everybody seems to be falling in this draft. There doesn't seem to be a lot of positive hype about players. There seems to be more negative hype about players. And case in point, this is amazing to me. Last week, over 2.5 quarterbacks drafted in the first round was living in the minus 400 to minus 450 range. I had to do a double take at Bet365 today a couple of times when I saw that they had over under 2.5 quarterbacks taken at minus 130 right now. Minus 130 to the over, that there'll be over 2.5 quarterbacks taken. I do believe that Jackson Dart is going to be a first-round pick. I do believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a first-round pick, despite the media criticism. We know that Cam Ward is going first, and hell, Jalen Milroe has a chance of being a first-round pick, in my opinion. How many quarterbacks, in your opinion, Rick, am I crazy to believe that this is a strong bet at minus 130 to go over 2.5 quarterbacks taken?
I mean, I've held steady that there's going to be 4, Gabe. I've been laughed at on some shows, but so be it. It's a supply and demand type of league. You just rattled 3. What about Jalen Milroe? What about Taylor Shuck? If you listen to the guys over there on NFL Films, they think he has the best film in this year's draft. So when you got teams like the Saints, the Browns, the Giants, the Steelers, then there's some wild card teams like the Rams. I mean, there's just too many teams looking to add a quarterback. I think it's at least 3, maybe 4.
And not to mention, there's always the outlier and a couple of surprises along the way. Nobody thought that the Atlanta Falcons were taking Michael Penix last year, Rick.
Yeah, and, you know, the thing is right now you're hearing so many things. My head is like Beetlejuice on the swivel right now, just spinning. And you talked about, like, no positive publicity. I mean, 2 guys I'm hearing now, like, we thought Genti was a lock for 6. Now I'm hearing like he's a possibility at 4. And if he gets past the Patriots at 4, there's no way the Jaguars are bypassing them at 5. So then all of a sudden the Raiders' whole situation is in flux.
I you know what? I'm buying into that. Remember, I brought this up to you a couple of weeks ago. I said, everyone's talking about Genti to the Raiders, and this is why we got to pull the trigger when we talk about these things, because the numbers get crazy, man. They move like literally every couple of hours right now. But you're right, Rick. The consensus is right now that he's probably going to be a top 5 pick and doesn't make it to the Raiders. You just brought up the Patriots. People have this Will Johnson locked in, right? That, Campbell. Campbell, Will Campbell. Will Campbell. It's going to be Will Campbell, the offensive lineman out of LSU. Is it? You know what I mean? Is that some sort of stone cold lock? I don't really see it. And I don't know if they're going to do it, but it's 75-1. Tyler Warren is Rob Gronkowski 2.0. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, Tyler Warren looks good on any team. He looks good on the Patriots. He looks good on the Jags. He looks good on the Jets. The Raiders have Bauer, so they're out of the mix there, in my opinion. But you know what I'm saying? What about the Patriots? What do you think? What do you think the Patriots do with the 4th pick?
Well, they need everything except the quarterback, which is good for them. But, Tyler Warren, if you're just going best player available, to me, that's the pick all day long. They seem to want to fix that left tackle position. Vidarian Lowe is bringing a lot of issues there. So I understand why Will Campbell has kind of been the pick. Our man Membo has been talked about as well. Could they go Jalen Walker and shock everybody? Because Jalen Walker is a guy now catapulting up the board, as is, we hated him. Now we like him again. Tet McMillan, is in play. They say at 4. The Cowboy, like Tet McMillan now will not slide past the Cowboys. And I talked a little bit about this to you off the air. Like, if you can predict which teams are going to select a wide receiver in the first round, you're going to get plus money. And I have, like, the Broncos are a team I'm looking at, maybe the Rams.
What about Golden? What about Golden? 17.5 over under. Matthew Golden out of Texas.
The people down in Dallas are convinced if McMillan is off the board at 12, the pick will be Matthew Golden to the Cowboys, which you can understand. When you have that kind of speed, the allure, guys like that usually get pushed up the board. So I think he's going to be way under that number.
Rick Saratella kicking it with us. All right, so as far as the Patriots are concerned, Will Campbell is up to -700 right now. -700 to be the 4th pick. So to me, that's just crazy because I don't think it's a stone cold lock. He's going to be the 4th pick. Ashton Genti is +700. Mike Vrabel did make a living with Derrick Henry as his running back. They're a different style of running backs, but just throwing that out there right now. I get it. They do need to protect Drake May, but they might be thinking they can get some protection in the later rounds as well, right, Rick? Abdul Carter is 10-1. You just mentioned Jalen Walker. He's 10-1 right now to be the 4th pick in the draft. Membo is 12-1. Mason Graham 20-1. But Tyler Warren, bro, 75-1, Rick. 75-1. Bro, $10 pays $750.
Not bad. Not a bad night out.
$20, $25 will pay someone's rent depending on where you live. You know what I mean? For a month.
Hey, I like the Tyler Warren pick. And even Genti at what you said, +700. Like, imagine Drake May and Ashton Genti in the same backfield. That's pretty damn good.
And, man, as we stated, this is why there's nothing set in stone, and you got some nice numbers out there, which leads us into the Jags. What about Tyler Warren to the Jags with the 5th pick? No one's talking about that either.
Yeah, listen, Tyler Warren's number 3 on my board, so anywhere you want to put him, I'm going to be a big advocate of Tyler Warren.
Yeah, exactly. He looks good on any team. As a Bills fan, I don't want him to end up on the Jets, but...
Yeah, and I think, right now, and I did Jacksonville this morning, and they basically thought it would be between Mason Graham or Ashton Genti. They said Tet McMillan might be the dark horse. The other guy they mentioned was Walker. Walker keeps getting mentioned. He's going to be a top 8 pick, this Jalen Walker. And I think he could be the wild card. Like, who saw Jalen Walker sneaking into the top 5? If it's not Mason Graham, then I could see a Jalen Walker. Obviously, they would love Genti. I don't think he's going to be there. And, maybe there's a trade scenario where, Genty becomes a commodity and Chicago really wants Ashton Genty at 10. Would they be willing to move up at 5, to leapfrog the Jaguars and maybe one of these teams can move back, the Patriots? I don't know.
A bet that I made, Rick, was Hampton out of North Carolina, running back, over under 19.5. So you're just talking about Genty and teams potentially moving up. You and I talked about this. A lot of people like Hampton as much as Genty, as crazy as that sounds, and think that, Hampton has all the tools to be a quality NFL back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got size. He is the complete package, and he looks good in a lot of uniforms as well.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve to be first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. We're breaking it down with the great Rick Saratella talking about the NFL Draft. I'm going to talk fast because there's a lot of stuff I want to get to. So we were on the 5th pick. I wanted to get to the Raiders. The Raiders were next in line. I'm excited to talk about Will Johnson. Talked about Will Campbell earlier. But as far as the Jags are concerned, Genty, and, if Genty's still there, do they pull the trigger with Genty? You got Liam Cohen in there right now, but you and I talked about it. Tyler Warren looks good with everybody. But it seems, you said you did some Jacksonville hits. It seems like the hype really is real, that they really do like Mason Graham.
Yeah, it seems like Graham is in pencil again, but as the leading candidate there for Jacksonville, could they go Jalen Walker and then all of a sudden, where does Mason Graham slide? That's a possibility. And then Tet McMillan is a guy like I had McMillan mocked to the Jaguars for most of the calendar year, January, February. McMillan to the Jags just made a lot of sense.
He's the third pick, just for the record, Rick, as far as the sports book is concerned right now. Fifth overall pick, Ashton Genty, plus 125. Mason Graham, plus 175. Tet McMillan, plus 450.
There you go. So
Jalen Walker is plus 700 for the record. And you're right, Walker's name is right there. He's like the third, fourth choice, like from the fourth pick on, pretty much. He's creeping up here right now. So the Raiders, everybody's had the Ashton Genty connection with the Raiders, but Pete Carroll might like another running back later in the draft, right? I don't think they're going to take Hampton, obviously, with the sixth pick, which leads us, the Raiders have holes, but you've got to deal with Justin Herbert. You've got to deal with Patrick Mahomes. You've got to deal with Bo Nix and a Sean Payton offense right now. To me, getting a defensive back isn't a crazy prospect or position to take. And thinking of Pete Carroll, too, and his success, Rick, in Seattle, he was a big believer in the secondary. That was one of the strengths of their football team, right? Will Johnson, I know that you're sort of mixed on Will just due to his injuries and a lack of, you didn't see him play much last year. But we know he's, after Hunter, he's the best defensive back on the board, and defensive backs are in a premium, Rick. I don't think it's crazy that Will Johnson goes to the Raiders with the sixth pick at plus 900.
Not crazy at all, because remember, it was Will Johnson, not Travis Hunter, who we were talking about as the Heisman candidate at the beginning of the regular season. He came in with a lot of hype, and he's got length. He didn't run the 40-yard dash. It might bother some scouts, but let's go back to the COVID year. A lot of these guys didn't perform. A lot of these guys sat at. Jamar Chase comes to mind. So you talk about length, you talk about need, you talk about in that division. I could see Will Johnson. If for some reason Mason Graham is not the pick for Jacksonville, I mean, wouldn't they love to put him next
He's
to
9-1 too, Rick. Pretty nice number. Like, dude, at this number, we can take a couple of these guys. Jalen Walker's plus 650. Mason Graham is plus 900. Will Johnson is plus 900.
To me, the ideal scenario is you plug a Mason Graham next to Max Crosby and let it rip. Like, that's the ideal dream scenario for the Raiders.
Man, I'm getting fired up right now. I like these bets. Plus 900, Mason Graham. Plus 900, Will Johnson. Will Johnson was when I had both Michigan Wolverines, for the record. Mason Graham and Will Johnson. And then Jalen Walker, wouldn't shock me. I think he's going to go defense. Personally, I think he'll go defense in the first round if Genty's not there. And I'm not, even if Genty is there, I think Carroll might think, you know what, these guys are stars. We'll get a running back a little bit later on, which leads us to the New York Jets. Quickly, Rick, what did you think of the Aaron Rodgers? Oh, I flew to New York on my own dime, only to have Aaron Glenn tell me that he didn't want me as the quarterback about 20 seconds in to the conversation. The Jets said that it didn't go down exactly the way that Aaron Rodgers said it went down. But to me, this is the exact reason why you don't want Aaron Rodgers on your football team. It's just way too much drama, man.
Well, there's three sides to every story. I think it's better left if you don't cry over spilled milk and you just move on. Nobody really cares. They just want to know if you're going to play or not. And, the thing that bothered me the most is he kept, if you don't want to talk about what it is in your personal life, well, don't tell us it's something in your personal life that's withholding. Like, just go handle your business and let us know when you're ready and come out of your dark hole when you're ready to make an announcement. Okay. Otherwise, we don't care. Okay.
Also, there was a little bit of irony, too, and I agree with you, but I like the irony of him complaining about leaks and, everything that's said in New York that's out. And then he goes on the McAfee show and says everything that happened in a meeting. But I digress. So as far as the Jets are concerned, Membaugh seems to be the guy here, plus 150, according to a lot of people. Dude, I don't. So let's get to Tyler Warren. I played Tyler Warren, Rick, under 9.5. Plus 175, bro. I'm getting plus money at under 9.5. You've been telling me all year he's one of the top players and most talented players actually on the big board for real. I don't think, and I agree with you, Rick, I don't think that NFL GMs are going to let him get to 10. I think one of them is going to go, we got to take this guy. Like I said, I think the Patriots will have to think about it. The Jags will have to think about it. Let's say they don't. The Raiders already have a stud in Bowers, right? And they just got rid of mine. They're not going to go tight end here. But, God, if you're the Jets, you have a hard time. I love them with Bryce Young in Carolina, right? And the Saints got a quarterback issue to deal with. So what about Warren, top 10? Do you think he can go to the Jets? He's plus 300 to go to the Jets.
That would be my pick. Obviously, I'm a Tyler Warren fan. The public perception is it's our man Membu, which I don't get because it's just they don't even compare on my board. Membu's a finesse. He goes to the second level. He's like allergic of contact. I mean, he could really pummel guys, and he chooses not to. Where Tyler Warren's an animal. This guy's a stud. He's a difference maker. But, the Jets want to solidify that offensive line, so all signs point to Membo. I just don't know how you pop on the film and you bypass a Tyler Warren. It just makes too much sense.
The Carolina Panthers, they have a ton of needs. So whatever they do, right, like you can't argue it. Like whatever, like you know what I mean? Whatever the position, it's like, okay, like basically like an empty kitchen, right? Whatever they come back with is a start. They need, their offense showed signs, right? Even though, they don't really have anybody, but their defense was freaking terrible, right? Like they really gave up far too many points, Rick. Listen, I think Will Johnson, I don't want to go and stick on Will Johnson all the time, but they could use a defensive back to throw with Horn there. That wouldn't be crazy.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweights.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Countdown to the National Football League draft continues. Man, time flies when we do this thing with Rick Saratella. We just got a couple of minutes left. All right, so the Saints, Rick, 9th pick. Actually, you know what? We were out of time there. Panthers. Let's wrap up the Panthers. What's your prediction going to be for the Panthers?
I think Jalen Walker. I think it's safe to say they need an edge rusher. He should be on the board. He's moving up fast, but I think this is where he ultimately lands.
All right, so the New Orleans Saints, another team similar to the Panthers, and you could argue, actually, which is pretty crazy to say, the Saints have as many holes the Panthers do, actually, right? I mean, the Saints, the cupboard is pretty bare, right? So they could really use any position, but you have Kellen Moore coming in here. New coaches like to get their own quarterbacks. Carr's a disaster, and not to mention Carr is injured right now. What do you think the Saints are going to do? Are they going to take Shedeur Sanders if he's there? And we skipped over the Giants. I'm saving the best for last. So it's sort of a combo here, I guess, with the Giants.
Yeah.
Are you maintaining the Giants take Shedeur Sanders? And if not, will it be the New Orleans Saints?
No, my heart wants to say Shedeur will go to the Giants, but, I've read too much stuff that, I saw Joe Shane. He couldn't hold back his grin when talking about Abdul Carter. So I guess Carter is my pick at 3. The Saints, ironically enough, Gabe, it's like Jackson Dart, even if Sanders is on the board, to me, Dart fits the offense better in terms of the style and the scheme and the fit for Kellen Moore. I actually think Jackson Dart would be the pick over Shedeur Sanders if they had their choice. And you're right, new quarterback. How do you go to battle with just Spencer Rattler on the roster? You didn't handpick him. You don't know the status of Carr. I mean, all signs would think I have Jackson Dart going here. And if they don't, well, then they're in a situation where now they might be scrambling to trade back up in the back end of the first round if they don't get one.
No love for Jake Haener, my boy, Fresno State.
Oh, yeah, Haener's on the squad. Yeah.
I don't know. Is he? Is he starting? I think he is. But, just kidding. I did like him in college, though. You know what? I've heard the same thing. And we were in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. I actually know people in the New Orleans media, and New Orleans is a smaller sort of community, right? Like the Saints it's a little different to some. It's not like the Giants where nobody really knows anything. Guys in New Orleans kind of know, and it's kind of no secret. Look, Schefter said it the other day, and Schefter doesn't put his name on everything, right? He said that Kellen Moore likes Jackson Dart better than Shedeur Sanders. And I don't, and not to be personal about it either, but I just sort of agree with you. And I like Shedeur, but as far as the offense is concerned and what they ran in Philadelphia and what we've seen from Kellen Moore in the past, Jackson Dart is kind of a better Kellen Moore was as a quarterback. They're kind of similar. You know what I mean? Like, I can see Kellen Moore looking at Jackson Dart and seeing a lot of himself when he was a kid in him.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And, you got to have that RPO capability to extend plays. And I will say, like, now where we thought a couple months ago he would be a favorite to be in the top 10, he's almost a dark horse. But we mentioned it. Like, if you can predict where the wide receivers land, I mean, I would put Tet McMillan as a dark horse candidate at the Saints here. I don't know what his odds are, but there's a possibility.
So Shedeur to Pittsburgh then?
I think if Sanders starts sliding, I think there's a team like the Browns, I think, would come back and try to trade back into round 1. The Giants would probably try to come back in and trade and leapfrog the Steelers, right? I don't know. Like, I can't believe Shedeur Sanders would slide all the way to 21. But then again, we've seen it happen with Aaron Rodgers.
The negativity about Shedeur really is over the top end. Case in point, yesterday, Rick, I was watching, and I like Dan Orlovsky, but Dan Orlovsky, he's in love with Jackson Dart. And we only got about a minute left, so I'll go fast here. He's in love with Jackson Dart. So he basically showed a couple of simple throws that Jackson Dart made. Right? Oh, look at this out pattern that he threw, and look at this. And guys were wide open and whatever, Rick. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, it was standard pass, like you would say. It was basically like in shorts, a T-shirt and short type play, right? Then he goes, this is what I don't like about Shedeur. He shows a play with Shedeur where nobody is open. And he says Shedeur should have taken off here, but he got sacked instead because he's not athletic enough. And I'm thinking, all you ever hear about young quarterbacks is, they got to stay in the pocket more and not take off right away. And Orlovsky doesn't bring up, too, that he played on a crappy team, Rick Shedeur, and he had to make plays. So he's staying in the pocket, hoping he can make a play deep, bro. Like, they're really, really wrong about Shedeur and, like, the criticisms with this kid. Are. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they act like, what, he didn't throw for, like, nearly 5,000 yards on a crap-ass team with a terrible offensive line? People are insane. We got to get out of here.
Narrative. I know we don't have a lot of time, but what bothers me even more is, like,
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues, as does the countdown to the National Football League draft. We've got a couple of games going on right now. And crazily enough, both Minnesota teams are in action at the same time. Good night for sports bars in Minnesota and drunks that want to stay out late and stuff, because these games are going to be on all night. So you got a late, where the second half has just started. And T-Wolves got punched in the mouth early. Give credit to the Lakers. Lakers came out swinging. Remember I said I wouldn't discount the T-Wolves. I think they could chip away and get back in this basketball game. We're getting 6 points with them. Currently, right now, it's 60-45, 10-19 left in the third quarter. Right now, 60-46. The total is 206.5 in this game. Total close 211. Minnesota Wild just took a 1-0 lead on the Vegas Golden Knights. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're getting 12.5 points right now in this game. I would say jump in. I'm already on the T-Wolves plus the points, but I think the T-Wolves are going to get back in this game. Let's bring in Mo Khan right now. TSN, play-by-play voice, CEBL, former college football player, does it all. Mo Khan, statistician as well. What's up, Mo? How you doing tonight?
And also now Gabe, sideline reporting for the new women's
and
pro league
sideline
NFL.
reporter.
So, Jack of all trades.
The attendance. Did you do a game yet? Was there a game in Montreal yet?
No, I'll be doing the 3 national home games for Montreal, June, July, and August. But I'll be there for the home opener against Ottawa next weekend, though. They're in Vancouver this week, I believe, on Sunday afternoon.
They got a good crowd. They got like 14,000 people in Vancouver last week for the first match, the inaugural match of the season, which is pretty good. And I don't know what they got in Toronto, but I saw it on TV, and it looked like it was same thing. So a pretty nice crowd, actually. That's pretty good. Pretty good crowds. All right, so 60-46. Lakers looking good. What do you think, Mo, of this basketball game? I think the T-Wolves are going to chip away. They're not going to quit like some of these teams. The bad teams. So, maybe in the fourth quarter they'll eventually roll over. But I'm not sure the Lakers are going to keep this up for the entire 4 quarters here. What's your take on this game?
Well, look, T-Wolves game 1 got hot through the 3-point shot, right? They were able to attack the rim and get the 3-point shot open up for them to kill off the Lakers game 1. I think game 2, what they're going to have to hope is try to get the Lakers to be on their heels a little bit more than before and see if there's some quality shots to be had, because in that first half they were down 15. And now going towards the second half, can they get this down to single digits? If they get this inside 10 points going towards the fourth quarter, flip a coin at that point here, and I think the T-Wolves can definitely meet all the expectations out there when it comes to the point spread and the total points at that point.
I watch every Laker game, and one thing with the Lakers, with Luka, a good point though, they got to hit their threes, and they just missed one, the T-Wolves. But one thing with Luka and LeBron, guys, you'll notice, I've talked about it a lot from a betting perspective about how I get suckered into in-game overs with Laker games because there's this quick pace early. They slow down. Luka is not in the best of shape. He gets defensive about it, but it's true. As I say this, he's keeled over right now. So, he's got both hands on his knees and he's leaned over. Literally, as I said that. Luka slows down, the pace slows down, LeBron slows down as the game goes on as well. So that's what I'm saying. The T-Wolves, they just sort of stay the course here, but they're sloppy on offense. They turn the ball over in the paint right now. They've been sloppy on offense, and the in-game total's fallen all the way to 198.5 right now. All right, so we just talked NFL draft with Rick Saratella, and now it's the calm before the storm, and it's getting real right now. There's a lot of movement with the odds. Nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen. They think they do, but they really don't right now. But there's a lot of chaos in the betting markets. And let's start off with Mo Khan's Las Vegas Raiders, who people were convinced that Ashton Genty was going to go to the Raiders, or that would be the high point. That would be the peak where Genty would, and it was debatable whether you should take a running back that high and all that. I started to buy in, but I've never been fully convinced, actually, the Raiders were going to take Genty. But now, Mo and Cam, but I'll throw it to you here, Mo, the betting markets, they believe that Genty is going to the Jags right now. The Jags have become the favorites to draft Genty, which I said 2 weeks ago I think could happen, and it was like plus 300. Now it's plus 100. What do you think is going to happen with Genty? Do you think he's going to go? Do you think, A, there could be a shock and he goes to the Patriots 4th? Does he go to the Jags 5th? And then what do you think the Raiders are going to do with the 6th pick?
Well, we spoke about it 2 weeks ago. I said that you'd asked me, does Genty go in the top 6? I said the Patriots or Jags could be in play because you look at Mike Vrabel, when he became Tennessee head coach, what did he do? He ran the football with Derrick Henry, right? That's his MO, is strong defense and just run the football. And Drake May needs playmakers, and Ashton brings that to you. Look at Jacksonville under Liam Cohen. He needs playmakers, right? I know they have Etienne and others in that backfield, but they don't bring that dynamism that Genty brings on the football field. So I think that there is a high probability that you can see Ashton Genty go 4 or 5. And for the Raiders, if they're not left with that running back, it's a deep class. So they can go in the second round. But you look at Mason Graham, the D tackle from your Michigan Wolverines. You look at Armand Membu from Missouri University, the tackle as well. Those are two key guys that could probably very well go in the top 6, top 7 of this draft here. So no matter how you have to look at it, if you're a Raider fan, you want to come away with the best player available at your position, whether it's Genty, Membu, or Mason Graham, who are all 3 excellent players at that position of 6.
The Raiders have a lot of holes, so they could go in a lot of different directions. They could go cornerback as well. I think they're probably going to end up going defense if Ashton Genty isn't there yet. That's what makes this unpredictable right now. There's a few teams, like we assume there's a few teams are going to do with certain things, but so the number 6 pick right now, Genty is plus 125. The Membau's plus 275. Mason Graham is plus 600. Jalen Walker is plus 650. Will Johnson, who I think is not a crazy bet at 9-1, plus 900 for the Raiders. Pete Carroll likes defensive backs as well. I think Pete Carroll goes defense here, guys, with the Raiders. So what's your pick going to be here? Mo Membau for the offensive line so they don't get Geno Smith killed. Mason Graham, who's, if he's on the board, will be hard to pass up with the 6th pick. Or Jalen Walker, who's climbing the board right now.
I think it's going to be Mason Graham. They need to get a pass rush. Remember, they got exposed last year with Wilkins going down. They had no pass rush beyond Max Crosby, beg your pardon, who got hurt late in the season. And you look at that division, Gabe, right? You have
what happened to that kid with foot problem from Texas Tech?
Tyree
that hasn't
Wilson.
worked out.
They might offload him, right? But you look at that division alone: Herbert, Nix, and Mahomes. They had nothing else going for them but their D-line. If they get a guy like Mason Graham to be a terror inside pocket presence of a pass rusher, that is a gold mine to have that type of position of dominance, to have interior pass rush coming in and getting those quarterbacks off their access points. I think Mason Graham would be the ideal pick. But again, this is the Raiders, right? So, unpredictability is normal for them in their headquarters, no matter who is picking the players, whether it's the late Al Davis or now under the new spy tech Tom Brady regime.
Yeah, and as you said that, talking about Mason Graham, I was thinking, you know what? We got a Michigan Wolverine connection here as well. Tom Brady, knows Mason Graham and what he can bring to the table. I wouldn't dislike the pick for them. All right, this one is like it's crazy. Some of the movement with the odds right now. Last week, over under quarterbacks taken in the first round was 2.5, but it was like minus 400 to the over. It's plummeted to looking right now over under 2.5 quarterbacks taken in the first round minus 110. Like I've had to do a double and triple take just to see am I reading this properly. It's because of the anti-Shedeur Sanders push right now. Over under 2.5 quarterbacks to me is light, guys. I'm going to play the over. We'll hit this some more on the other side, but we know Cam Ward is getting drafted. Jackson Dart is going to get drafted in the first round. And don't kid yourself. Shedeur Sanders, I believe, will be a first-round pick as well.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. So, as we were saying, it's pretty crazy. Over under 2.5 quarterbacks taken is down to minus 110 right now. And there's a lot of Jackson Dart love and hype. I do believe he's going to – I got Jackson Dart to be taken under 23.5. I don't think Dart could go to the Saints 9th. He could go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's always a surprise team that could trade up, move around, or you know what I mean? The Cleveland Browns have 1 million picks. There's teams that could do things. The New York Giants could potentially take Abdul Carter and then, grab one of the young quarterbacks late. Or they could think, we'll get Milroe in the second round. Supposedly Dable likes Milroe, actually. Dable doesn't really seem to like anybody. But I got to go over 2.5 here. But as far as the New Orleans Saints, Mo, yes or no? Do you think they're going to take a quarterback? Do you think they'll take Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart with the 9th pick?
I'm going to say yes, they will take a quarterback. They have to get someone in there. They have to revitalize this franchise and get the hopes up. Remember, this is a team right now that's in a morbid situation. Over the cap right now. Derek Carr likely not to play this year. So what do they have going for them? But you have Kellen Moore, who's a quarterback whisperer. Think about what he's done for Dak and for Jalen Hurts. You bring in a quarterback now with not much to work with. He can grow this team organically to bring in a Shedeur Sanders or maybe a Jackson Dart at number 9 here and kind of get this team going. And look, playmaker-wise, they have some pieces to work with in New Orleans, so I think they do take a quarterback at number 9.
They don't have too many pieces. There's some. It's like a monopoly board with some missing pieces. Right? There's a couple of, but you're right. They got a bit of talent. But I do believe in Kellen Moore. And one thing too, I think if you're a young quarterback, you're being thrown into a horrible situation with the Saints. But I think Kellen Moore gets this, and like he wouldn't get a young QB killed. I think he would know how to sort of work him into this. And as we were talking with Rick Saratella, everybody believes, and I like Shedeur Sanders, but Jackson Dart fits what Kellen Moore wants to do. You talked about Dak Prescott. You talked about Jalen Hurts. Dart has the Wild just scored again. But Jackson Dart, I was seeing a comparison to his body type, his size, the Jalen Hurts stuff. He's not quite as big. Dak is a big dude, so it's going to be hard to be bigger than Dak Prescott. But Jackson Dart has some size. He has some mobility. Shedeur's a pocket passer. West Coast offense, sort of pocket passer type. But I don't think Shedeur guys would get past the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 if he's still there. So I believe those will be the 3. And Milroe could backdoor the first round. I think teams will sit on Milroe, and Milroe will go early in the second round, my opinion. Well, he's plus 130 to be a first-round pick, but I don't think Milroe will be a first-round pick.
Well, the bottom with that is you're going to need more value. But you said it was 2.5 with basically pick 'em juice. And he still could go to the Giants if they do something and go, we're going to take this guy at the end, and that's 4 quarterbacks. But I feel very comfortable with 3. Dart, Sanders, Ward. Those guys are, I got to believe, nothing's a lock, but to go in the first round there, and then you have the Milroe effect if the Giants decide to take a chance with him with a late pick in the first round. So I love that bet, Gabe. I think that's a fantastic bet.
The big thing, Mo, is Tyler Warren. The topic of conversation, will he last to the Bears? People like this whole thing with these mock drafts, and people just sort of take it for gospel because they read it so many times over and over, or they hear it, that the Chicago Bears and Indianapolis Colts are both taking tight ends, right? Like it's almost a foregone conclusion that the Colts will be taking a tight end. I'm not so sure about that. Like from a betting perspective, I got to admit I'm going to lose some of the bets, but we're getting plus money. And I like Colston Loveland. Being a Michigan fan, I know him well. But he's 17.5. And, I don't think let's say the Colts don't go tight end. Suddenly, to me, Loveland's going to he could fall to the Denver Broncos. But Tyler Warren, do you think he goes in the top 9, Mo? Will he be gone before the Chicago Bears pick him, potentially with the 10th pick?
I say no. And remember, Jeff fans, and you guys know this very well, 30 years ago this week, had nightmares when they took Kyle Brady from Penn State over Warren Sapp, right? And that gave Jet fans nightmares forever. I'm not saying that Warren is Kyle Brady, but
come on, man. Are you going to give us Christian Hackenberg shout-outs now? You're going back a little bit.
Yes.
And Tyler Warren ain't the Brady kid, Mo. Come on.
No,
I like the reference, but...
No, but Tyler Warren has the tools that the Bears desire from that position, right? Like you look at Sam Laporta and what Ben Johnson did for his career. He sees the exact same DNA in Tyler Warren to be that guy for them. And if I'm the Bears, remember, they're the only team that has an extra second-round pick in this year's draft, right? So they could maybe move up a couple picks here to secure themselves a Tyler Warren. And remember, guys, we've not seen any trades yet in this draft. Like we usually see trades 3, 4, 5 weeks out. And I would imagine that we could see maybe 1 or 2 trades from the top 10 of teams trying to get into the top 6, top 7 to get maybe a Warren or someone else in that range.
No, it definitely has to be some sort of chaos. You got to believe it. There's going to be a few moves. I don't understand the James Pierce stuff. James Pierce right now is just basically minus 110. You get will he be a first-round pick is plus 100 right now. Jackson Dart is sitting at 24.5. And, guys, you can get plus 150 under Jackson Dart. Plus 150 under 24.5. But I don't – you know what I think, too? Ever since – and like I said, these odds makers don't know anything, guys. Like you're not betting against a supercomputer like you are when you're betting an NBA game in-game total. The fact is, guys, ever since that it was announced that Jackson Dart isn't going to the NFL draft, people think they just assume he's not being taken in the first round. I don't know. I don't think he was invited. So, but Jalen Milroe was. Yeah, but Jalen Milroe was invited.
That's right. Yeah.
So, whatever. And I don't think there's too many people out there to believe that Jalen Milroe is going before Jackson Dart. So, you know what I mean? I think people are overreacting to this. Oh, he's not going. He's not going to be at the draft. You think a team gives a crap whether the kid got invited to the draft or not, whether they're going to draft him? Right? So, I think that's a little bit overplayed. McMillan, Mo, he's a polarizing player. The kid out of Arizona, the wide receiver. Everybody's polarizing here. They're picking on everybody here. And then you got Matthew Golden, who he's the one player that's that people have been pretty positive about. Like, everybody seems to be getting smeared. Golden stock has kind of risen. Luther Burden III has been buried. But we'll get into Golden on the other side. Over under 17.5. I'm not so sure he lasts 18.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve the first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Mason Graham right now. Mason Graham over 5.5 is minus 225. Under 5.5 is plus 175. The Patriots are the key because everyone's convinced they're going to take Will Campbell, but I'm not. I don't think that he should be that big of a favorite. Omarion Hampton. Some people like him a lot. Like, they think this guy is going to be a star. Like, Genty's great and all that, but they think that Hampton could be a star. I've said the Cowboys for a few players, but it wouldn't shock me if Hampton went to the Cowboys. Personally, I think a team, guys, that would be a good fit for Hampton would be the Arizona Cardinals. the Cardinals, you've got they don't have that sort of star back. You got to help Kyler Murray. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. here. You really want to get a little triplets thing. Hampton can really help you out of the backfield. I like James Conner, the Terminator and stuff, but at some point I think they got to say, you know what, Hampton's an explosive player that could really help us. I think Denver could take him, but that doesn't help me because I need it under 19 and a half. All right, so before we get Mo out of here, Mo, your prediction for tomorrow: Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals, and I imagine the city is pretty excited for Friday night.
Yeah, look, tomorrow, anxious times here. Can they get a little more grittier? They got beat up game 1 last night. I think it'll be close, but the Caps will come to Montreal up 2-0. But I think it will go back to D.C. with Montreal down 3-1, if not 2-2. I think the Habs fans are hungry. They're eager. Remember, this will be the first proper playoff home game in almost 8 years in Montreal, guys. So it's been a long time coming for Habs fans to enjoy a proper sellout game at Bell Center. But I think they'll be down 0-2 coming back for games 3, and then we'll see what happens in game 4 afterwards.
Tickets are going for $500 just to get into the building for Friday night. It's not going to be a cheap ticket.
A lot higher now, Gabe, as of this evening. So you can pay almost $1,000 to get in the last row here.
Huh. No, it won't be $1,000 to get in.
Oh, my friend got an offer for $1,000. So
let me see I'll tell you the updated prices right now. 1,000's insane. 1,000, come on, it's just a playoff game.
Some people won't pay $1,000 for it, so we'll see.
$1,000 for the nosebleeds.
Now here we go. $422 right now. Section 426, 422. No, the other day it was $5. It's coming down. Like this guy, you can only get so much. I'm not saying for like the lower bowl you can get more. Even the whites, I guess. Whites, there's some of them going. There's a thing, Mo. It's sort of like on StubHub. Just because somebody's asking something doesn't mean they're going to get it.
Absolutely.
like somebody, like somebody here on StubHub, wants this can. They want $2,750.
Yeah.
For like one center ice ticket.
I made a big mistake on StubHub, Gabe. I bought a ticket for Bovey, and then he goes, I told you to go to Ticketmaster. I go, I don't have a Ticketmaster account. Ended up paying like $500 more on StubHub for that Pistons-Knicks game. Problems.
What Pistons-Knicks game?
On Sunday. The Pistons, the Knicks are at Detroit.
Game 4, 3. Yeah.
Game 4. He's going.
All right, so, but what is that? So what, you bought the tickets for him?
Yeah. I screwed up. He called me in the morning. I didn't realize the difference between Ticketmaster and StubHub, but it's like a $400, $500 difference. On Ticketmaster, it was like $900. On StubHub, it was like $1,300. Ridiculous.
Well, there's a lot of different, you got to look around. There's a lot of different prices for these things. But like I said, so you'll see, but then the media will put it out there. Oh, tickets are going for $2,750. It's like, nah, they're not really. Somebody's asking that. But people like to sensationalize it. But still an expensive ticket, $422. I wish I was there, actually. It's going to be lit on Friday night. You can't top the Bell Center. You can't top the Bell Center in Montreal. The Forum you could top. The Forum was better. But like you said, Mo, I was there against Tampa in the Stanley Cup Finals, and
that's right. Yeah,
it was awkward, right? There was like 7,000 people. It was weird being in a Stanley Cup Final, and I had the entire row to myself. Like literally, I was like right behind the net, and I had my arms stretched out. I had like beers and drinks like all over the place. I literally, and figuratively, they had us like I had a row, and there was a dude behind me that had a row. It was the strangest thing ever. And it sucked, too, because the Lightning scored like 2 goals in the first minute of the game. All right, so, Mo, I would say enjoy the games and stuff, but you're a Canadiens hater and a Red Wing fan, so maybe next year. Thanks, Mo.
Hopefully. Take care, guys.
I know he's a Red
3-0 for the Minnesota Wild right now. Over to Vegas Golden Knights, so the Wild are rolling. And so are the Lakers. The T-Wolves just can't get back in at 75-57. We'll see you on the Wicked Wednesday.